Here we are, ready for another YouTube session at the Institute of Self-Awareness. Right now, I had just said a sentence about thought. And the more we learn about thought, the better off we are on lots of levels. On the level of gaining spirituality, on the level of wellness, on the level of being happier, the more you know about thought. And if we would introduce ourselves to thought, let's try this on for size. Say we have a 20-story building, and we're on the first floor, and we're looking out the window, or we're looking, at the door entrance, and the way we see it. Yeah, just come on in. We're recording right now. Just pull the chair around on this side, and we look out, and we see the people just the same size as we are, the same stuff is going on. Then we go in the elevator up to the 5th floor. Now we look out the window. Quite a bit different. Mm-hmm. So that we can teach ourselves that our perspective of looking out at life can change. It changes and it changes. So just in imagination now, we're looking at the difference from floor 1 to floor 5, and that's quite a difference. Now we go to 10. Whoa. Now we're on top of the trees. We don't have the trees right with us. And the dogs get quite small, 10 stories up, and whatever, the people and everything that's moving, you see a bigger picture. Yes?
Yes.
The picture from floor 1 to floor 10 is bigger. Now if there's 15 or 20 floors, we're going to get up so high, we're going to see tops of heads. A lot of strange hairdos. No hair. If we can even see that far. And everything gets smaller, but there's so much more. And that's really what this work, this consciousness game that's being played on the planet right now, has to do with whatever we can do to have our perspective get bigger. So just take, for example, if we're looking at the floor 1, and we have a little child, a naughty little boy, and is getting scolded. And what all the action is, and the crying and the yelling and so forth. And when we're up on the 10th floor, and it's so small, the actions, it's almost like it's nothing in comparison to viewing it from the 1st floor. And that's what I see for myself and for people who've been coming here, that difference in being able to be just the same way, not put on extra glasses or whatever, but being able to inside in the thinking mechanism, be able to look at a bigger picture without going up to the 10th floor. That could you be on the 1st floor and say not 20 feet away is this problem child and all this ruckus is going on. Can we go into our awareness, into our consciousness, and stay on the 1st floor, but look at the circumstance as if we're on the 10th floor, where we're hardly affected by it. See the difference? And that takes some doing. But can you see the benefit? And if you do, how would you describe the benefit? Think of it for a minute. How would you describe the benefit you would have by being able to not be in a different place with your body, just with your perception? And can you do that? And have you done that type of thing? And give us an example of how that, when that would happen.
I can
First,
give you.
go,
Okay.
take the floor.
All right. This last week, I developed pink eye. And normally when I get sick or whatever, I get into my story. Like, oh, those kids at school are filthy. You know what I mean? How can I can't stand this job anymore. I'm always getting sick, blah, blah, blah. This time I didn't storify. I stepped back and I'm like, okay, you have insurance. You need to go see a doctor. You're going to get medicine. You're going to get better. So I pulled back and I was like, okay, you have two options, urgent care or emergency room. Emergency room is going to cost you $250. Maybe urgent care is a better option. Let's go to urgent care. So I looked online and I found one that was open. So I went there. No line. Got in right away to see the doctor, and pharmacy is right next door. I was in and out of there within, I would say, 30 to 45 minutes, and at home putting in my eye drops. And life continued. I think when I don't storify, I see the solution very clearly. It's like not muddying the water. You see what you need to do, you do it, and that's it. And that helps me. I did.
So it does cut a story into a shorter story.
Into
It was still a story.
It was still a story, but it wasn't like oh my God, why is this happening
Yes,
to me?
You're
Blah
more
blah
at
blah.
ease in yourself.
I was more at ease.
Mhm.
But and for me, then I was at home, and then I had lots of epiphanies, and one being that my job is just a job. It's not who I am. It's just a part. It's an aspect of me, but it's not the whole me. And that lightened up a lot on me. So.
I just did a consultation on that whole issue of the job. So someone that I was talking with, I asked them what they were doing now, and they had just gotten a new job. But they always said, I just don't know. And we talk about, well, I just don't know. And I said, okay, now just a minute here. You have learned, and I'll go back to how we started tonight about the first floor and the 5th floor and the 10th floor. You have learned how to go from first floor to 10th floor and not be so, I don't know. I don't know how many times he said that, over and over. And what I want to really say is the difference between the first floor and the 10th floor. You don't have to know anything, really. You just look. You don't have to know. But our mind and our ego is working overtime all the time, because its job is to find anything that will hinder us and keep us in the I don't know place. But last week when we did our class, I'll just happen to have it, I'll pull out the sheet that I was talking about, the natural self. So if anybody is seeing this tape here, taping tonight, look at last week's. Because what we looked at is that to be able to look with child eyes, is no such thing as I have to know something. They don't know yet. They don't know anything, you know, when I pick a number out, say an 8. They don't know what an 8, what is an 8? What do you do with 8? You ate it? I don't know. What do you do? What do you do with green? What is green? How does it get green? You know, all of those questions. What it keeps us from is knowing who we really are. It keeps us into who we think we are. And who we think we are has to have answers all the time instead of being okay. And when you were saying earlier about your son and his little fishing trip and so forth, little kids don't care that they don't know. They don't. And that's a space that is so powerful to live in as an adult. And that's at the bottom line of all of this. Because if we're going to say this level of perception is natural, and why did we call it natural? Because it's the life force we came in with. They're all life force. It's life, energy in here. And one of the words that can be used to talk about that place, even though there's no word that actually fits, is knowingness. It's like there is so much knowingness in us. And we only know it when we need to know it. How many times has an answer of some kind come because in that moment you needed it and you didn't wonder and put up any energy against of not knowing? So look what would happen if you stay in a conversation. Within 5 minutes, it was said 4 times, I just don't know. See? That's where we have, when we learn more and more about thinking and how it affects our health, our thinking, and how it affects our perception. So it's helpful to not, I don't know. When you were talking about going to in the computer, you checked the place to go, what might be open.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it followed 1, 2, 3. She was not in a I don't know space. She didn't know where she should just go, but she didn't have it foremost in her thought pattern. I don't know. She says, I know to go here and see what I can find. I know this next step, and then I know this step. So that to know and to know and to know means that the energy of your thought is working right in a flow instead of I don't know. I don't know. That's what happens to the energy in your field from the I don't know. So fortunately, the fellow I was talking to caught it right away, and that he had said it to me so many times on a job issue. So I don't know why I'm talking about all of that. But anyway, let's go back. Where were we?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I gotta start over. Somebody said I don't know. Oh.
You were talking about perspective. When you're on a ground 0 to ground 5 to ground 10.
Okay, what I had brought to share with you, and maybe I have done it many years in the past, but some statements about thought. And let's see what we can do with this. Thought is the most vital, subtle, and irresistible force there is in the universe. It's enough to blow you over. Can you see that as a fact, as a truth? Does anything ever happen without it being thought first? Well, let's tie it with this sentence. Everything the universe has ever known has its origin first in thought. How did we get a chair?
Somebody thought about it.
Someone thought about
Somebody
it.
had to think of it. How do we get a building?
Someone had to
How do we get light?
think
Well,
about
we talk about Nikola Tesla. Huh? Because everything is a thought first.
it.
So how can we use that in our everyday stuff? You know, we were never taught that thought. You gotta get the syllables in the right place there. I wanna say it again, now I can't say it. How is it? What did I say?
We were never taught that
Taught.
thought.
See, taught that is to say.
Thought, yeah.
Right, if only in school we all had been taught a whole lot more about thought, we'd be better off. We have 2 minutes yet, let me just give you a couple more here. Everything exists in the unseen before it is manifested or realized in the seen. Isn't that what we just said? Everything has to be a thought first. The idea of a class, idea of anything, that's always a thought first. Here, we are living in a vast ocean of thought. The very atmosphere around us is filled with thought forms. Do you know, point blank, that you live in an ocean of thought? I wish we had learned that a long time ago. And that's going to be one of the key thought ideas when we move into the aura work. That there's an ocean of thought around us. First of all, we have our own aura, which is all thought, totally filled with thought, and we're walking that around like a book. And that is connected with the universal thought, with what we're looking here, the infinite thought, the infinite energy. So we want to be especially careful that what we think we're creating. What we think we're creating. I'll let you sit on that for a while until another time. So we'll close for the Institute of Self-Awareness and see you next week.